Hi, the name is Bliss Sibiya from the X-Factored Youth. The X-Factored Youth prides itself in 6 pillars: excellence, extraordinariness, exceptionality, exceeding expectations, and to go the extra mile. Why do we speak about these things? Because we believe that the African child, in the spaces that we're in, do not have a choice but to be excellent human beings within society. We need to do things better than other nations and other races to prove ourselves. So we've decided to set up a movement, an organization, a gang, a clique. We also call ourselves the Red Team, where we speak about these things, we network, we find people who are like-minded, who are in the entrepreneurship space or in the development space to ensure that we do what we do best because we do not have a choice. So I've written a book that I'm going to release in the new year, 2023, where we speak about the habits of being X-Factored or being an X-Factored human being. The book is called 15 Habits of X-Factored Humans. Now the book basically explains about the habits and behaviors that we need to adopt as people who consider ourselves X-Factored. Now the first habit is to make the decision to live the X-Factored lifestyle. Now what I mean by this is that the X-Factor lifestyle is different. You have to understand that you have to be in your own space at times. You have to move different. You don't discuss certain things with people. And you have to understand that you also probably need to work way more and way harder than people who consider themselves average. The second habit is to commit to a life that you have chosen. Now the X-Factor life is not an easy life because it's a life where you have to continuously prove yourself. Each and every day, you have to continuously better yourself. And that is the lifestyle that we want to instill in people. Eric Thomas says that if you want to be successful as much as you want to breathe, then you have to work. And that's exactly what we want to instill in the X-Factored human's mind, because this movement is a different movement. This movement is a movement of progression. It's a movement of excellence. It's a movement of exceptionality. It's a movement of going the extra mile and being extraordinary human beings within the societies that we are in. The third habit or behavior is to set or create personal objectives. Now, before you leave, and let's say you go to a particular destination, you do understand that there are certain checkpoints. Let's look at us traveling from Johannesburg to Durban. Certain checkpoints could be the toll gates that you pass, which gives you an indication that you are way further from where you are and you are closer to where you want to go. So we need to set objectives, we need to set goals so that we understand if we are on the right track or not. Because if you just shoot aimlessly, you're not going to know what progress you are making. Whereas if you already guide exactly where you are trying to go, what you are trying to do, you can then tick certain boxes and see how far you have gone and how close you are to that destination. So that is habit number 3. Habit number 4 is do not reveal everything to everyone. As I mentioned before, being X-Factored, you have to understand that not everybody has to know what moves you are trying to make. Certain things you just have to keep to yourself because people do despise a person who was in pursuit of success. In the societies that we're in, if you tell a person you want to do something extraordinary, because they are not in that space where they have a plan of trying to be extraordinary or trying to be successful, they're going to try brush you down. They're going to try say, nah, don't try that. Try that, whereas they haven't tried anything at all. So you have to understand that there's certain things that you can tell people, but other things you have to keep to yourself. Kind of like how a poker player keeps his cards to his chest. So you have to keep secrets if need be, but you don't discuss everything to everyone. You can have a certain amount of people or an X-Factored clique where you can share these ideas because they are like-minded people who want to be successful. And you tend to also find that people who are considered high-performance individuals, what they usually do is they leave the country that they are in because they're not ready for the change that is about to take place. I will name drop a couple of people. There are people such as Sibiya. He is currently in Dubai, and he mentions that Dubai is a place where a person can essentially do anything. You are inspired to be creative, you are inspired to be different. If you look at it in South Africa, if you're trying to be extraordinary, even governments, tend to suppress that because of the fact that you are an outlier, as Malcolm Gladwell says. You are going against the grain, and they want you to essentially be normal. And as X-Factored humans, as X-Factored youth, we do not want you to be normal. In fact, we want you to be uncomfortable. We want you to be extraordinary, because extraordinary people do extraordinary things. So do not tell everyone everything. Keep certain things to yourself, keep your head down, and keep working. It's always better after you've achieved something that you mention, and no, this is what you have done. But before you make it, before you achieve it, do not tell everyone everything. So the fifth one is to stand out for the right reasons. Now, in the world that we live in, there's always social media trends that people follow. Some people start them, some people take them and move it forward, some people elevate them. But some trends are not exactly in the best light. If you are an X-Factored human being, if you are an X-Factored youth and you want to trend for the right reasons. Because in the societies that we're in, society wants someone to blow up for the wrong reasons, and they don't really support positivity. You see it on the news that we watch every day. There's always something negative. So if you want to stand out for the right reasons, because at the end of the day, you could be a role model and you could be a representation of a community that you come from. You could be a representation of the province that you come from. You could be a representative of the country that you come from, or the continent, and then at some place, the world. So make sure that when you stand out for the right reasons. I mean, they always say that you need to guard your reputation with your life. So when you guard your reputation with your life, you really need to make sure that your PR is on point. That is why you find that certain companies have their own departments where they handle PR to make sure that the narrative is controlled and the narrative is on their side, because they want to stick out for the best reasons possible. So consider yourself a brand as an X-Factored human being. Look at yourself as a brand, as a business that wants to go out and add value, and the marketing that you need to do needs to ensure that it supports the positive things, the positive contributions that you're making in this world. So habit number 6, pursue excellence in anything and everything. Now, let's look at it in high school. You know, in high school, some of us always tend to think, if I at least get 50%, I'll be good. That is considered average. As an X-Factored human being, we want you to go even further. We want you to push yourself. We want you to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because we are trying to push the boundaries. And as I mentioned before, as people of color, as black people, as Africans, we need to stand out. We need to push against the normalities, against the average narrative, because we are trying to create more black role models, more people of color who are role models in the societies that we're in, especially for the next generations to go forward. So we're trying to break boundaries. We're trying to go the extra mile. We are trying to take over. We are trying to show people who are going to come after us that we have set up a space where we can push ourselves, where we have to push ourselves. We do not have a choice but to be great, because average for us is not enough. We have to be better than the white people. We have to be better than the Indian people. We have to be better in anything and everything that we do. Average for us is just not enough. We have to be great. And there's certain movies that we watch. I remember watching, I forgot what movie it was, but they say that because you are black, if you jump, you need to jump higher than white people. If you run, you need to run faster. And that is why athletes, most of them are of African descent, or are Africans who are doing magnificent things. I mean, there are people such as Michael Jordan, there are people such as Usain Bolt who are doing magnificent things in their lives, in the spaces that they're in the generations that they're in, because they got the memo. They understand that as people of color, we want to be role models. And in order for us to be role models, we have to be different. We have to be X-Factored. Now, the 7th habit is to remove that which prevents you from achieving your X factor. So what I mean by this is, if you have friends who you see that are not adding any benefit to your life, remove them. Remove these people, because they are stifling you. They are preventing you from achieving your potential. What I mean by this is, some of us in the communities that we live in, we tend to go chill with our friends at the nearest tuck shop or the spaza shop, and you just sit there for 6-7 hours. And you realize when you go back home is that you did not benefit anything. You did not learn anything because of the people that you're with. There are people such as Tony Robbins who say, you know, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And it's not his quote, by the way, but there are many great people who say, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Because your friends pretty much dictate where you're going to be in life. So if you have successful friends and you put yourself in a position where there are successful people, you will want to be successful because you see what is possible through your associations, through the people that you're with. So networking with people who are successful, who want to be successful, would be the best option for you. And that is why as X Factor Youth, we created a space, we created a gang where we can all come through as X Factor human beings and speak about what exactly we can do to better ourselves, what exactly we can do to be extraordinary, to benefit our communities, and to chase and to be different and to represent our people, our country, our nation, and the world in the right places. The 8th habit, add that which assists you in being X-Facted. So once you have removed people in your life that are not adding any value or are not benefiting you in any type of way, start introducing new people in your life. Start introducing more people who are like-minded, who want the dreams, who want to chase success, who are not going to stop you from achieving your dreams. In fact, in the contrary, they want to support you. They want to assist you while they're pushing their own dreams, because we are all headed for the same place. How we reach success is different, but we want to be in a space where we can hold each other's hands, give each other advice, not to criticize how bad the idea is, but how good the idea can become. And we need to be in a specific frequency, in a specific mindset in order to achieve that goal. Because my success is your success is someone else's success. So you need to add people who want to be successful so that you can move forward. Habit number 9, squeeze as much contribution time as you possibly can. Now let's look at this as a lemon. If you have a lemon, which is what you've been given, you know, the surname that you have, the name that you've been given, the gender that you have been given, the place where you live, those are things that you didn't do anything to earn it. You did nothing. It was just given to you. That is the lemon that you have. Now, when you squeeze the lemon, you need to, take advantage of the situation that you're in. If you stay, for example, in Guamash, in the township, that is the lemon that you've been given. What can you make sure? How do you ensure that you squeeze that lemon to make sure that you leave that environment and you do something different, you contribute in the community, you make sure that your life is going to be successful? You need to squeeze that time. Now, if you also look at it in the lifespan, on average, according to science, we live an average of 76 years in the world. Now, if you break that down, there's still times where we are sleeping. There's times where we are growing, we're doing homework, some of us are doing sports. So we're only awake for a certain amount of the time in the day. And when we are awake, we are doing certain things. So how do we ensure that with the space that we are given, our free time, that we are adding contribution, that we are making a space, we are adding value in life? Because when you're born, you're not born to exist. You are born to add value. It's kind of like if you're a Christian, if God says you are going to be born, that is your job. You have specific requirements that you need to fulfill before you die. So there's certain things such as KPIs, your contribution time, giving to people, representing people in positive light. Those are essentially the lemons that you have to squeeze to make sure that when you die, people remember you for something that you have done that is powerful. I always admire people who write books, because you might be reading a book that was written hundreds of years ago, but because of the contribution time they have made, you were able to sit down and write and read their book and see what contributions they have made in the world. I come from a business background, and one of the biggest management gurus or leadership gurus is Peter Drucker. Peter Drucker, in every university, every college you go to, all his teachings, all his writings is what we learn. And this is a person that lived years ago, but that is the legacy that we are speaking about. So when we speak about contribution time, we are speaking about legacy. Legacy, legacy, legacy. And how you do that is what you do when you are alive. So you need to set time, you need to put certain things in place to ensure that you become a legend while you are still alive. Because we don't want you to die and people forget you, people forget who you are, what you've done. But if you set something up where people remember you, by the time your funeral hits and there's a eulogy, you are doing some amazing, remarkable stuff. Now, number 10, understand that you may be alone sometimes. You know, the road, especially when you want to be successful, could be lonely. You know, some people say it's lonely at the top. Getting there is also lonely because people might not relate with the ideas that you have. That is why, you know, if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, there's a tier called social belonging, you know, wanting to be in a particular space. You want to ensure that while you are alone, you are still moving forward, and just accept that you might be alone in something. So conquer it yourself, do your own thing, but understand that it could be a lonely road and you should be prepared for that. Number 11, take comfort in being uncomfortable. We want you to understand that it's going to be uncomfortable. Pushing boundaries is never easy. It's not meant to be easy. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. So be comfortable. When you're given lemons, just accept the lemons and make lemonade, as uncomfortable as it may be. Habit number 12, remember why you chose the X-Factor lifestyle. There's a particular reason. That reason is to be different, it's to be extraordinary, it's to be excellent, it's to go the extra mile, it's to exceed expectations. That is why you have chosen this lifestyle. You do not want to be the same as someone else. You want to be different. You want to be extraordinary. You do not want to be average. Habit number 13, ignorance is expensive, knowledge is a bargain. Always strive to be knowledgeable. Always have ideas. Always make sure that you are ahead of the curve, that you are learning. Continue to learn. Education, education, education. Learn exactly what is needed in your environment and add value. So knowledge is a bargain. Being ignorant is expensive and you do not want to pay that price. Habit number 14, learn not for yourself, but for those who cannot. If I, for example, am a doctor at something, my responsibility is not to hold that information, but to share it with people. So you learn something not for yourself, but essentially for other people. That is why teachers go to university and then they come back and they teach, because they're passing on knowledge. That is why our grandmothers and our grandfathers give us stuff that they have learned at that time and they teach us. The last one is habit number 15. Leave a powerful legacy. As I mentioned before, we are not here for a long time. So we need to ensure that when we leave something powerful. Plant a tree that 15 years down the line, a person could take shade under. Build a tank that could water a whole nation. Make sure that when you leave something, make an impact. Make sure people remember your name. That is why today people, such as Rhodes University, if you know the history behind Rhodes University, Rhodesia, all these names, if you look back, it's people that have intentionally done that to leave a legacy. So remember, when you want to join the X-Factor Youth, you need to have certain habits, and we want to preach that. So join the X-Factor Youth and push the boundaries, because as African people, we need to. It is necessary. Ladies and gentlemen, the name is Bliss Sibiya from the X-Factor Youth. If you want more, contact us and we'll be sure to assist you. Signing out.